If you're asking generally, what is the value of working in the virtual internet space or telephones or whatever, I think my personal answer to that is that I work with some people in a fairly serious way, not very many, but I have put a condition to the possibility of starting to work, and that is what I've been talking about to the little group that's around the GIG project, that we really need to know each other quite well to be able to do any meaningful work. When we know each other, then I think with the possibility of video conferences and things like that, we can see each other's reactions, and I would even think that the substance that is needed for transmission, so to say, can be done to some extent with the help of these modern media. After all, it is also so that long distance guiding and guidance of others without any telephone lines or anything else has been possible in the past. We hear these stories. So why not using this media, if we don't pay too much attention to the media, but we are in a receptive, actively receptive state, and also actively transmitting state at the same time. I think that's the pre-definition that I have for it, that if you know a person, then it is a possibility that one can work with the person. Yeah. On the other hand, it can be that that is not absolutely true what I'm saying. It has to be verified. For me, it works with some people, as I said, to have meaningful inner work going on in an exchange. But that can even work with email information, because there are two things. I've just been reading a book by William Chittick, who is a specialist, a professor in America, in studying Ibn Arabi, the Sufi pole of knowledge. And he's written a little book where he talks about how a tradition can be transmitted generally. And he says there are two ways. The one way is to imitate. This is what everybody is doing. If you take any religion, go into a church or a mosque or whatever, synagogue, you are imitating. And you get, yes, and you get also at home through imitation this on religion. But the other part, which he then defines with the word, the intellectual part, is to make it one's own. And that is not something that can be given to another person. You have to get it yourself. And that's one of the big things in the inner work, that as Chokuang Trungpa said, you know, that inner work is such a real guide is a person who can take you to the other shore and then burn your boat for you. It's so beautifully put. We need to do it. It's nobody else who can get to the grips with this real meaning. It means making all the discoveries possible in everything we do. And through that we can make a tradition our own. Yes, I think he's talking about the same thing. He uses also very special expressions. And if you don't get into them, it's difficult. It just reminds me of another thing. You remember, it's the famous last words. Of course, Gurdjieff said, "I leave you all in a fine mess." What did he mean? We are in a fine mess, all of us anyway, but he just noted that as his last words. And you may recall, have read or heard how Ouspensky in his last 3 years or something, and in his last year particularly, he didn't speak to anybody. He just sat. And he told, there may have many different reasons why he did this, but my interpretation of it is, he told everybody, you gotta scrap the system, get out of it, and start finding out for yourself, because his language was already old. We have to rediscover everything and put it into our own words. Then we have got a little bit further, so to say. You know what I mean by this. I think Ouspensky saw that so clearly in his last years that it's all right to blah blah about and talk in Gurdjieff's ideas, which he learned in 3 years in group meetings, which were not every day, and made into a fantastic book, and then continued all his life to teach these things to others. He didn't really make any discoveries in that sense. And I'm sure he felt in his last days, I should have really started to make it my own.